As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 89 of Zero to Hero, presented by J29 Creative Group. I've got another one of these awesome everyday heroes that are coming at you today. Her name is Debbie Childress. She is the founder of Valor Ranch right out of Smithville, Missouri. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Debbie, how are you this morning?
Hey, Gina, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I definitely want to get out to the people what you're doing up there in Smithville and really all over Kansas City, right? I mean, Valor Ranch isn't exclusive to Smithville. That's just where we're based out of, right? But you're doing some awesome things for the veteran community. Tell everybody a little bit about what you guys do at Valor Ranch, what you got going on.
So Valor Ranch is a 501c3 that's been around. We've been a 501c3 for about 5 years, and we provide housing and other services to homeless veterans. Currently, we're kind of in the fundraising stage to buy property. We actually want to build a working ranch with equine therapy, gardens, horses, dogs, everything that a good ranch needs. To house these veterans. Currently, we're housing veterans in my house, and that was really never part of our initial plan. But I'm an empty nester. I have empty rooms in my house, and it's just hard to say no when I've got empty rooms and there's people that need them. And in my mind, there is just absolutely nothing okay with somebody sleeping on park benches or on the ground when I've got empty rooms where they could stay. Currently we can only have a couple at a time because that's just how many rooms I have. So we're very anxious to get the bigger property bought and built out so that we can house even more. We provide some job assistance, trying to help them find jobs, get back on their feet, provide workshops that teach budgeting and money management. We want to have a garden once we get the bigger property so that we can assist with healthy eating. I've got a fitness room here at my house, and that's something that will continue at the ranch. So just trying to provide really whatever skill they're lacking that's keeping them homeless. We're trying to fill in that gap so that they can get back on their feet, live with us for about 12 to 18 months, go through these workshops, and then hopefully they'll be back on their feet, and we continue to keep in touch with them and make sure that things are going well, and life is just getting back on track for them.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think a lot of veterans go from high school right straight to the military, especially the ones in my generation, right? I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of, obviously there are officers, right, that go to college and do the whole OCS, but the majority of veterans are enlisted people that were ready to go kind of right after 9/11, right? Not all of us were of age to do that, but you see a lot of them, right, that were, I mean, for me personally, it was 2 months between when I graduated and when I left for boot camp, right? So the point I'm getting at is there's not a lot of time to learn about money, right? I mean, you go through and you're working on your daily operations, right? As a military person, whatever your job may be, right? Very rarely are you looking at, how do I budget money, right? How do I do a lot of things in the world, right? I mean, everything is so centralized on base for a lot of veterans, and they don't go to college, right? They don't learn these things about how to handle money and where to invest and all those things. So I really appreciate that you're doing that on the backside, I think that is a vital skill, and I think that's why a lot of the veteran community gets into trouble, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Outside of the mental stuff, that's obviously a whole other side of it, right? But
Right.
money is definitely a lifeline, when it
Yeah.
comes to life, right? I mean, we've got to have it to have a roof over our head and food in our mouth. So it's absolutely incredible that you're kind of taking that step back, right? And realize that that's a vital skill that our community is missing, right?
Right.
But I love the rest of that as well. That I
Yeah.
can't wait
Well,
for
and
you to
it's
get to listen.
interesting that you bring that up going in right out of high school, because I think that's not something a lot of people think about, because they think, what do you mean you're teaching them how to do laundry, or you're teaching them how to pay a bill? I mean, that for most people, that just seems so commonplace, how to manage your bank account and that kind of stuff. But like you said, a lot of them came straight from high school and they just have not had their own apartment yet or their own house. And they see bills come in and they really don't know how to pay those, or they just don't have the money management. They get a big paycheck and they think, oh, great, I have all this money, and they run out and spend it all. And then all of a sudden a bill comes and they're like, wait a minute, how do I
Oh
do?
yeah.
And that's where you get in trouble. And, if we try to teach budgeting as well, because I don't care if you make minimum wage or you make $1 million, if you live that lifestyle, you're a paycheck or two away from you could be homeless. You could lose everything. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to learn how to live below your means so that you've got a little bit set aside. I mean, you could be the CEO of a company, but if you live that CEO lifestyle and spend every dime you make and the company goes under, you're going to be in the same boat as a lot of other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the one bonus the CEO maybe has is that network to kind of help them bounce
Yeah,
back up, right? Which a lot of
exactly.
veterans don't outside of the veteran community. It's
Right.
a very tight knit community, and they're very within themselves, right?
Well, and
Yeah,
sometimes I think interview skills are an important thing to teach too, because if you were, I think it's hard for a lot of these guys and gals to know how to translate their military skills into the civilian world. They're not helpless, they're homeless. I mean, they've been in the military, they have great skills, they know how to do things. But say you were a sniper in the Marines, what do you tell people at a potential employer that you're good at? I mean, they just
yeah.
are having, I guess you're good at attention to detail, right?
But
But
that's
it's
not what
really,
they're gonna say, right? I mean, no, it's so fun because I used to make this joke to my wife, right? Like right after I got out, I was like, "When am I gonna like? I can get you from 500 yards away."
yeah,
Like that's
right.
that's the skill, right? And that's what we think the skill is. But there are so many other things when you really break it down that go into, there's a
Yeah,
ton of math that goes into that, right? There's a ton of other things
for sure.
that go into that.
Right. And
It's
even
so
just
funny. Go ahead.
being
Go ahead.
able to assess a situation. I mean, it teaches you, even being something like a sniper teaches you loads of skills that are going to translate to the civilian world. It's just not everybody knows how to verbalize that.
100%, or where it applies, I think, is the other thing, right? Like I mentioned before the show started, I think the options were, police officer or something else, right? That doesn't
Right.
require a degree, because that's kind of where the skill set is, right? And I think that's where a lot of veterans struggle as well, right? Is veteran experience isn't always looked at as probably what it should be, right? That
Right.
real on the job training, even though it's a little bit of a different job. There's a ton of other things that go into that. That's so funny. You were talking about budget though. It took me back to I was stationed in Washington State on a naval base, and we would have these cycles of 6 weeks where we would basically be working, right? We wouldn't be out in town, or so we would come out with 6 weeks of paychecks. For
Mhm.
us as 18-year-olds, we were like, heck yeah. So there was a casino, an Indian reservation casino right outside the base. I mean, maybe 3-4 miles away, obviously at Indian reservation casinos, 18-year-olds are able to gamble. You
Okay.
put a bunch of 18-year-olds on a base with 6 weeks of pay and tell them they can go gamble for the first time. That's what they're going to go do, right? I mean, they're going to
Right.
go to the casino and check out that experience as part of the culture, right? But there were so many guys, myself included, that would go drop 2 weeks of pay, 4 weeks of pay, or 6 weeks of pay in one night, and then it's like,
Well,
shoot. I guess I'm eating at the chow hall for the next 2 weeks instead on
Yeah,
base, and
exactly.
luckily there's ways to get by while you're in, right, without having any or no money, right?
Right.
But when you get out and you're
Yeah.
doing those same things, right, whether it be drugs or alcohol or a lot of the things that our community
Right.
gets into, right, where are you
Well,
going to
and there's
turn?
no free chow hall in the real world.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't free. We were paying for it, but
Well,
they were smart enough to take it out on the front side on that.
yeah, for sure.
They were like, these guys aren't gonna have money for food, so let's go and do that. No, it's absolutely amazing what you're doing, and I want to see a ton of people get involved with what you're doing here in the community as well. I think there's a ton of partnerships that make sense for Valor Ranch and some of the other communities here in Kansas City as well. But I want to set Valor Ranch to the side for just a second. Okay, we're going to come back
Okay.
to that. I want to talk a little bit more about that as well. But I want to ask you about you. So, in a couple sentences, who is Debbie Childress? Give us your elevator pitch about who you are.
Well, so I came from I grew up in Kansas City, up in the Northland. I come from a whole family of civil servants, police, fire, military, EMT, teachers. Our whole family has always just been a family of kind of servant minded people. My parents modeled that kind of thing for us. It's actually a little bit hard to hear you use the word hero in anything that I'm doing because I feel like this is something everybody should be doing, and so
I
it's
understand that.
about 4 years ago, I was put into my high school's Hall of Fame, and it was so unbelievably awkward for me because, first of all, I don't like to be the center of attention. That's a little bit uncomfortable for me. And it was just, like I said, weird to be recognized for something that I thought everybody did. That was modeled for us growing up. My brother and sister are the same way. And so it's a little awkward to be recognized for something like that. I don't really care if anybody remembers my name. I just want them to remember that Valor Ranch is really trying to do good to veterans. And it's not just me. We have an incredible board of directors that is working as hard as I am to get anything done.
That's incredible. I fully expected you to not talk about yourself at all there, which you No, that's incredible. I mean, you had great role models, right? That just kind
Yeah,
of made that seem like that's what you should be doing, right? I mean,
right,
what the Childresses do or whatever the family name is, right? Is you guys help, it seems like, right?
right.
Which is incredible. And I think a lot of veterans, right, or first responders kind of have that same mentality, right? There's a bit of a calling that is
Right.
there, right, to go help out
Hmm.
other people. So I think that's
Yeah.
incredible. But yeah, it's not in everybody. I could tell you that. So you are
Yeah.
absolutely special for that reason. But I
Well,
I, I get where you're coming from with the hero stuff. I definitely
yeah. And I,
understand that.
I will tell you kind of how Valor Ranch got started. I
Yeah,
probably should
please.
have said that at the beginning, but I was a military spouse. My husband, when I met him, was in the Army and then actually ended up switching to the Air Force. But between those two, he did 4 tours in and around Iraq.
Wow.
And every time he came home, his PTS was a little bit worse, although I didn't understand that's what that was at the time.
Yeah.
Most of what I know about PTS is things I've learned because of that, not before that.
Right. Right.
um, and one day he kind of snapped and took everything we owned, and I've never seen him since. That was 15 years ago.
Wow.
And so I think that you can either let something like that make you bitter, and just hate the world and hate the military and hate all of, whatever there is to hate, or you can try to make it better, bitter or better. And so I just thought, I don't want to see other families go through what we went through. I was a stay-at-home mom at that time, homeschooling my kids who were 8 and 9 at the time. And as any parent knows, when anything threatens the safety and security of your kids, you just go into survival mode, so that's what I
Yeah.
did. I got a job immediately. Still continued to homeschool my kids for about another semester while I was working. I finally realized, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I was homeschooling because I didn't like the schools where we were. So that's how I ended up in Smithville. We came up here basically for the schools and kind of to get a fresh start. And so I am super excited about where we've come since then. But it was not an easy place to start. You know, I mean, when you say zero to hero, I would say that was probably the point of zero right there, where, you know, I had less than $2 to start over with. Wow. I had about $1.78 in the account because everything else had been taken and was gone, and we started over. And so that's kind of the start of Valor Ranch. You know, I mean, I don't ever tell that story for any kind of sympathy, because without that happening, Valor Ranch probably wouldn't exist. You know, I'd still be trying to serve veterans through a local shelter or something like that, or, you know, just serving meals at a homeless shelter, which is what I had done in the past. But it would not be on this level or being able to help this many. And so I've been excited about how it's grown and continues to move forward.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's I don't think a lot of people go that way right after that happens. I think a lot of people probably are never wanting to talk to a veteran again, which I totally understand, right?
Yeah.
To be like, that community doesn't know what they're doing, and I get that, right? But no, it's very big of you to realize that there was something going on there, right? That maybe he wasn't himself or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And to find a positive, right? To find an outlet to create a positive out of that is absolutely incredible. So I commend you for that. Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Now, I want to ask you about your social media journey, right? Kind of going to that zero to hero. That's typically what we're referencing is that social media journey, right? Because as we start organizations or as we start businesses, we're always starting at 0 followers, 0 likes, 0 reactions, 0 online community, right? So what was it like for you, 5 years ago when you started this thing, starting at 0 to building it up to where you're at now?
It was a little scary. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary to start something on your own. I had this idea in my head for a long time before anybody knew about it, you know, because I didn't want to tell anybody, because I didn't want somebody to say, "Are you crazy? You can't do something like that," you know, and I just didn't want to hear the negativity. Yeah. So I just kept plugging along, trying to do things by myself. And then I mentioned it to somebody one day, and they said, "Wow, that's pretty cool. How could I get involved with that?" I thought, what? You know, other people want to help with this. And so we started sharing it. And I was actually, it was a buddy of mine. I used to be I'm still an auxiliary with the Kansas City Police Department, but I used to be with the Mounted Patrol. And it was actually one of the guys who was on Mounted Patrol that said, let's sit down and create a Facebook page. And so we did it right there one day. And by the end of the day, I think we had, I was so excited when I got the first like, and then I would run in and say, we're up to 25, we're up to 50. And I think by the end of the day, we were at maybe 100 or something. And I was just so excited that other people kind of saw value in that and said, oh yeah, let's figure out how to help the veterans, and how do I get involved? Where can I volunteer? You know, finding volunteers for fundraising events. And so just trying to continually share it, you know. And then we moved to Instagram and we're trying to open up some other platforms. Facebook and Instagram is what we have currently. But just trying to share that, and always kind of keep our name in front of people and try to show them the things that we're doing, so they know we're legit. We're not just a fly by night kind of thing, trying to collect money. You know, I mean, we're already doing what we said we're going to do, just not on the scale we want to be doing it. We want to have a bigger place. We want to have the horse piece, and just move that in. So just continuing to grow and to try to grow our audience and make them aware of fundraising events that we have, and, you know, just in any way that they can get involved and help us.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely awesome. Now, you guys do a great job of sharing your partnerships on the Facebook page, but as well as some of the different things that you've done, right? So I saw there's a 5K that you guys did fairly recently.
It's actually coming up.
Maddie, hasn't even happened yet.
September 9th.
We can still sign up for that, right? So ValorRanch.org is where they can sign up for that?
Yes, correct.
Cool. So get on there, sign up for that. I think we missed the golf tournament. I'm gonna have to catch that one the next time that one comes around.
Yep.
That looked absolutely amazing. Where was the golf tournament at?
The golf tournament was at Tiffany Greens,
Beautiful.
kind of up near KCI Airport, and we are already set for April 26th of 2024. So
Wonderful.
we already have our date set for that. We really do 4 big fundraisers a year, and we try to stick to that so we're not continually, doing things and saying, come to this, give us money, give us money. People can donate anytime, and we're always thankful for that, but we don't want to continually be having just little fundraisers here and there. So we do 4 big ones. We do in February, we have the poker tournament that is in memory of my son. My son died by suicide 3 years ago, and he was a huge poker player. And so I think that he would be pretty excited to know that there's a poker tournament named after him. It's the Wyatt Childress Memorial Poker Tournament. That's in February. Then we do the golf tournament in April. The 5K is coming up next Saturday, September 9th, at the gorgeous Liberty Memorial is where we hold that. And then in the fall, we do a kind of a dinner dance. This year we're doing a taco bar with a couple of live bands that are going to come play, and that's the American Legion in Smithville. It is always a lot of fun to see people out there dancing, and I mean, who doesn't love tacos? I mean, tacos and live music makes for a pretty good night in my book.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I grew up right here in Parkville, and I know Rancho Grande is packed out still. I think every Tuesday. I mean, you can't get in there for about an hour on Tuesdays.
Sure.
It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, we definitely love some tacos. At least in the Northland, we definitely love some tacos.
Everybody loves tacos.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's amazing. So yeah, definitely if you're watching this, you want to know how to get involved. There's 4 great ways to get involved right there. But there's also some merch on the website as well, which looks absolutely cool. Tell me a little bit about the buffalo logo. How did we come up with that?
Yeah, so we chose bison because in the Native American world, animals have symbolic meanings. Plants, all that kind of stuff have symbolic meanings, and the Native Americans believe that the bison signifies endurance and overcoming hardships and perseverance and just all those things that we want to instill in the veterans. So I just kind of chose that when we were putting our logo together as something that symbolized that strength and perseverance that we want to teach.
I love it. Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was just always moving forward, right? You never see them too stagnant, right? You never see them going backwards. They're just always kind of pushing forward, which is kind of like a rhino, right? Rhinos just always, always
that's another
going.
Good one.
Yeah, there's always going forward to get out of their way, right? So
exactly.
I love that. Now, every superhero has a defining moment. Debbie, what do you think yours is when it comes to your life and career?
Boy, I'll tell you, after what I went through, I really think that when I bought my house in Smithville, I had a great job by then, and I bought this house all by myself. And I really think that was defining in a way that, okay, the kids and I are going to be okay. We're in a safe place now. We're good. We're kind of on the right track. I kind of see success as just trying to be a good parent and a good human. And I was trying to do that anyway. But I felt like once we got up here, I was really, I knew we were going to be okay. And we were just in a good position and in a good, safe place. So that was kind of I guess that would be called a defining moment, that it just finally felt secure when we got up here.
Kind of replanting those roots.
And
getting your toes back
fresh
in the dirt.
start.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. Yeah, we had a friend of the show, Courtney Thomas, runs the new house domestic violence shelter, Northeast Kansas City. It's the oldest domestic violence shelter in Kansas City, actually. But we did a creative arts video for them, and I was asking her because I have a almost 6-year-old daughter myself, and I was, I'm like, how can I prevent my daughter from ending up in somewhere like this, right? With all
Mhm.
respect, amazing work that they do down there. My first thought as a parent was, how do I prevent my daughter from getting here, right? And it's that independence was the first thing that she said, and I think
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing I think for a lot of spouses. I mean, there are male spouses that are dependent, right? There are female spouses that are dependent, right? I think that's something that we need to change as a culture, right? Is have independence for everybody, because I think that's where we live in a true freedom.
Right.
So I love that, right? I think
Yeah.
that even though it happened to you the way that it happened to you, right? I think you being able to get out, right, and kind of reestablish that independence, right? And hey, we're gonna be okay, right? I've got this. I think is
Right.
absolutely incredible, and I could
Well,
definitely see that as a
to
defining.
see you struggle through that stuff too. I mean, we would love to protect our kids from everything
Of
hard.
course,
I mean,
yeah.
we don't like to see our kids to go through hard things, but I think them seeing us go through hard things and coming out on top is powerful in the fact that it teaches them, okay, sometimes life stinks and sometimes it's really hard, but you just got to stay focused on the right thing, and you can overcome that. So I think it's good for kids to see us struggle as long as we're still pushing forward, trying to do the right thing and not giving up.
That's
That
the
would be the
biggest
hard
thing.
part.
Yep, that's the biggest thing right there, right? And I think you're absolutely right. Right. I mean, I've seen it in my own life. I don't know if my kids have seen it with me yet. Probably they've seen me do hard things, right? And get through them. But
Sure
yeah,
they
I think
have.
that a lot of character building, right? And I think a lot of times as a parent, you don't realize what your kids see in you either, right? I think a lot of
Yeah.
times as parents, we're kind of reminded of how great we are, right, by our kids as well. So maybe that's a question I'll have to ask my daughter tonight. What
Yeah.
sometimes you see me
Well, and I
do those
think
hard.
as parents, when we go through those things, it makes us realize how strong our own parents were. you know,
Yeah.
you,
No
you want to go
doubt.
back and say thank you for everything.
No doubt.
I was a jerk when I was a teenager or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
you can become way more thankful for the things that you realize that parents go through every day.
Right. You realize how self-centered you were
Yeah,
back when you were
right.
growing up, right? It's
For
like,
sure.
man, yeah. My oldest is 6. It was about 6 years ago. I was like, Mom, you really
Yeah,
did a good job.
exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious. So obviously, parents, good parents have awesome attributes, right?
Yeah.
Villains, not so much, right? So I'm going to ask you what the attributes are that really define a hero. I think a lot of the parents in our lives are heroes, but let's get to everyday heroes, right? Heroes in our life. What are the attributes that you feel define what they are?
Um, in everyday life, I think it's just people that are trying to be good humans. Just
Yeah,
be kind to people. Every person you meet is dealing with something that you don't even know about. So sometimes, um, I remember when I was much younger, my grandpa taught me the power of the word maybe. Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you think maybe maybe they just found out their kid got hurt and they're rushing to the hospital,
yeah,
or somebody is mean to you in a store. Well, maybe they just found out that their job is ending on Friday and the company is, the store's closing and they now don't have a job and they're scared. So kind of putting that word in front of a lot of statements sort of changes the fact that you just not everybody's trying to be a jerk to you or trying to not be a good human. They're just all dealing with something in their life. And so if you take the high road and try to be good to everybody, no matter what, you're going to be blessed for that down the road. You're probably going to, even when you try to help people, I feel like you say you're trying to bless somebody with whatever it is, financially, or I'm providing food, or I'm providing shelter, or whatever this is. When in reality, we end up being blessed way more than that person that we're trying to help. So I think to be a hero is just as simple as being a good person. Just try to do good. There's a sign that hangs in my church that says, "Go out into the world and do well." But more importantly, go out into the world and do good. And I love that saying. I
yeah.
saw it in the Sunday school room just the other day. I was like, what a cool thought that is, that we're trying to be good ourselves, but just do good to other people. And that's really the best way for people to view you in a higher light.
Yeah, just living with that intention, intentionally being good, right? And reminding yourself to be empathetic, right? I think is that maybe, right? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. It's so funny. I remember doing that with my mom right after her divorce. So I was about 12, and we were driving. We used to live in the city, and then we were moving to the Northland. My mom was moving to the Northland, and I remember talking to her about there was actually a homeless person on the corner of Broadway and 70 Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting on the Broadway Bridge going north, and she goes, I think she was mumbling something under her breath, and he was kind of being a little aggressive, and it was that maybe this, maybe this is going on. I don't remember exactly what the maybe was, but I like saw it almost dawn on her face, right? Like, you know what, you're maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
that
maybe
is
he
going
doesn't
on,
need
right?
it. Yeah, maybe he doesn't need the help, but maybe he hasn't eaten in 2 days and
Right.
he's crabby. He's hangry. He's
Right.
crabby because he's hungry and he's hot and he doesn't have a place to sleep. So yeah, it does kind of change the way you look at the world when you try to sort of imagine what they could be going through.
Yeah, and I think there are reasons for everything, right? People's behavior. So I love that you brought that up as well, right? Even people that you feel like are intentionally doing bad, right? I mean, what's the reason behind that, right? What happened to them to steer them down that path? I think that's extremely, extremely powerful.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you the hard one here, Debbie, okay? If you had to compare yourself to any superhero that's out there, who best relates to Debbie Childress, and tell me a couple reasons why.
Well, that's a hard one for me. I mean, for me, the ultimate superhero is Jesus Christ. That's who I try to model my life after, and knowing that I'm never going to achieve it on this side. I'm never going to be able to be like him, but striving to be like him to me is the ultimate goal. So that's the biggest superhero. I see all of our first responders and military as superheroes. They just don't wear capes, Gosh, I really like Captain America too. I think just because he seems patriotic to me, and I'm such a patriotic person, that I love the red, white, and blue, and he's got the shield there to protect, and that's kind of how I want to see Valor Ranch, is that we're here to stand up for the veteran and to protect them where we can, and to teach them how to do good in the world while they're doing well. So that I guess I would say Captain America after all of the others, after Jesus Christ and after our first responders.
I love that. We're gonna have to get like a big Captain America shield, like right at the front gate or something.
That'd be really cool.
It'd make me feel safe. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It made me feel pretty good. Yeah. No, that's absolutely incredible, and I love that one for sure. Well, Debbie, thank you for coming on the show. You've been absolutely amazing. How can people get a hold of you? How can they help? How can they get involved? Share all the socials, the website, everything.
So I would say plugging into valorranch.org is the best thing to do. We also have Facebook. Valor Ranch Inc. is how that one is. And on Instagram, it's Valor Ranch 22. That's kind of a nod to the fact that they say 22 veterans a day die by suicide. I'd love to get that number down to 0, but that's how they can get hold of me. My email address is debbiec@valorranch.org. And I would love to hear from anybody. I love to answer questions, to share about Valor Ranch. I'll talk to anybody about it. I could go all day talking about how we can help veterans and make their lives safer and more productive.
Absolutely. That's great. There are a ton of ways to get involved on the website, whether that is through buying merch, right? Just making a simple donation. I know you have tiered out donations and different things they can do to help, different levels they can do to help, and then some cool rewards for that
Yeah.
as well, for lending a helping hand as well. You know, getting the name out there, maybe getting a saying on one of the stones, I know is one of them, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely some different things that you can do there.
Yeah.
And then the big 4 events every year, right? So the next one coming up is next Saturday. That's the 5K at the World War I Memorial, right?
Yes.
There in downtown Kansas City.
Yep.
The one after that will be
November 18th is the music, the kind of dinner dance type thing at
Tacos and
Smithville
dancing.
American Legion. November 18th. The poker tournament is coming up the end of February, and then the golf tournament will be April 26th.
Beautiful. And that's going to be at Tiffany Green's again?
Yes, it is. That was a
Wonderful.
great place to have it, and we really appreciated that partnership with them. So we're going to be back at it this year.
Absolutely. That is a great course, and it is a very hard course as well, but you'll have a great time out there for sure. Well, Debbie, thank you again for coming on the show. You're absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get involved myself with Valor Ranch and help you out as well. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for your military service as well.
Oh, thanks for the support. Both in you saying it and in your actions for sure. I truly appreciate it.
Right.
Everybody out there that tuned in, thank you for tuning in and checking it out.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.